ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer is brought to you by Volkswagen. From Stade Océan on the northwest coast of France, U.S. and France about to face off. Two of the top 3 ranked teams in the world, according to FIFA, alongside Julie Foudy. I'm Sebastian Salazar. There you see the 2 captains, Becky Sauerbrunn of the United States, Eugénie Le Sommer of France. 2 of the more established veterans for these respective programs. Reem Hussein, German official, will head up the officiating crew. It'll be all German with the exception of Alexandra Collin of France, who will be the 4th official. Julie, we had some history last time out for the United States. Yes, it was a 1-1 draw in Stockholm against Sweden, but it was the, this can't be right, 300th international appearance for one Carli Lloyd, who joins elite company.
Oh, it can be right, and very deserved. It was awesome to see her join that elite group. Kristine Lilly and Christy Pearce-Rampone, the only other 2, male or female, to actually reach that milestone. And the great thing about Carli Lloyd, honestly, is beyond reaching 300, I mean, what she's done in her 30s, Sebastian. She scored 36 goals between the ages of 23 and 30, so her first 7-8 years. She scored 88 goals after she was 30 years old. Good Lord.
25th all-time meeting between these 2 sides. Of course, they met at the last World Cup, also met at the last Olympics. And we're off from Le Havre. Stade Océan, the site of the last U.S. defeat against this very same French squad. 3-1 in January of 2019. First ball whipped into the box, headed clear by the captain, Becky Sauerbrunn. France, blue tops, red shorts, red socks, white shorts, going right to left across your screen. The Americans in the white top, blue short, white sock combination, going left to right.
It looked like on the tactical lineup that France provided, they were going with a formation change, 4-3-3 for this one, lined up in a 4-4-2 against the English team on Friday, so we'll see if that holds true.
Corinne Diacre, the manager for France, found herself on the hot seat of late. Alex Morgan double-teamed in the corner. Swept away by Aïssatou Tounkara. Number 5, one of the center backs for France, of course, as you mentioned. This French team doesn't have all of its veteran stars. Wendy Renard, Amel Majri, a couple of big names, not in this team.
Henry, I mean, you go down the list of players they're missing, with Lyon being out due to that COVID outbreak. Catarina Macario also caught up in that for the United States, playing for Lyon, so she is not here with the U.S. team, which is a huge miss for her and her chances to make that Olympic roster.
Abby Dahlkemper for Kelly O'Hara. Julie, it's O'Hara, Dahlkemper, Sauerbrunn, Dunn across the back 4. You throw in Alyssa Nair and Julie Ertz in front of them. That part of this lineup seems pretty solid in everyone's mind, including that of Vlatko Andonovski.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you could also make an argument that you have 4 incredible midfielders to choose from for 3 spots. And that seems very solid, those 4 in the middle.
Pauline Perrault-Magnan, the goalie for France, off her line quickly to gather. Eve Berisset, left back for France, won by the Americans. Morgan fighting back to goal. And Celisa D'Almeida.
I did shoot a note to Corinne Diacre about the win against England over email and said, you know, we talk so much about the depth of the United States team. Maybe we should, with the absence of 6 of your Lyon stars, be talking about the depth of the French team. And she basically said, not so fast. That was a win, and it was a good one, and we're very pleased. But they're young and hungry, but we need to be doing this more than just one game. So this is a great test, not only for the United States, of course, but for a young French side.
Rapinoe, the cross to the near post. Morgan snuffed out. Still alive. Morgan in the box. She clatters down. Penalty. The United States is going to the spot.
Morgan making that near post run. Rapinoe does so well just to get to that inline. Looks at that little seam. There's the first bite at it. Here is where it is on the second one. Hard to see from that angle. Just gets stepped on, and you can see it's Morgan reacting, but I think when she catches her foot there, Tunkara, number 5 for France, that is where the penalty kick happened.
Julie, some striking similarities
a bit unlucky
between what we've seen in the first 5 minutes in that quarterfinal. Megan Rapinoe's opening goal in that match in the 5th minute. Rapinoe from the spot. Goal! Rapinoe against France. Again, 1-0 United States.
And you knew it was going to be Megan Rapinoe, and you know what the end result is going to be when Megan Rapinoe steps up in moments like this. A little different than a packed stadium in France in a 2019 World Cup game with no fans here tonight, but the end result always the same, it seems, when it comes to Megan Rapinoe, and that is going to be a test, as we were just saying, for this young French side, missing a lot of that veteran strength, which also brings you the experience of when you go down early against the #1 team in the world. How do you react to that? They are not fielding those players tonight. They don't have that luxury.
175th international appearance for Rapinoe. Her 59th goal. Alex Morgan, also on cap 175, sends it across for press. Just over the bar.
Good start to the game for Alex Morgan, though, and a much better start for the front 3 for the United States. Morgan with her pace and a great ball into press, just catches up on her. Just needs to get over that a little bit more. The run and the service spot on for the United States. Vlatko Andonovski is going to be much more pleased already with the start for the United States.
Sauerbrunn, well dealt with. Done now under pressure. She loses out. France on the counter, over the top. Dahlkemper half clears. This will roll out for a corner kick for France, their first of the match.
We talked about French being in their tactical lineup in a 4-3-3. It looks like it's shaping up more like a 4-5-1. Le Sommer pulled back a little bit. Asai on that right side pulled back a little bit. So Katoto, the lone striker up there, number 12, who we just saw, that lone target. And the challenge will be for the French to get some numbers around her getting forward.
Marie-Antoinette Katoto of PSG. Ball driven to the near post. Morgan there for the clear. Sent in again. O'Hara bravely sticking her foot in. Head in, excuse me, and gets the call.
Interesting, too, that for the French, because I thought 2 of the best players, and Sebastian, I know you felt the same way in that England game on Friday where Sandy Baltimore on that left side and Denis on the right. We'll see if it's an injury or if they come in as subs, or she's just looking at the depth, Diacre, of that French team. But those were the 2 of the most dangerous players for France on Friday. Not in the lineup.
Yeah, Khadija Toutiani Sandy Baltimore as well. Valerie Galvan also started that game against the English with the French won 3-1. Those three not in the lineup so far tonight. 9th minute, US up 1-0 on the strength of a Megan Rapinoe penalty. 5 minutes in.
Good work on both sides of the ball for Sam Mewis. Earlier, you just saw her winning something defensively as well to gain possession.
Dungara past Rapinoe. US applying high pressure, France playing around it for now. Perisset opens up for Les Sommer, the captain. Kenza Dali trying to turn on Kelly O'Hara, no such luck.
On your toes, on your toes. Pino closer now.
Julie Ertz intercepts.
It is the silver lining with no fans in the stands. You can see and hear exactly what Vlatko Andonovski is directing his players to do.
Go now.
I think you'll be hearing him shout a lot of defensive orders in this game. Wants it to be tighter. Wants numbers around the ball.
Sam Mewis ahead, pass intercepted. Dahlkemper for Sauerbrunn. On cue from Vlatko Andonovski, wanted to switch to his left back and he got it. Perrault Magnan. D'Almeida into Llorena under pressure. Rapinoe nearly jumping the back pass. Torrent, one of two French starters in this match that also started the game between these two sides at the 2019 World Cup. The other, Les Sommer. Les Sommer cuts around Ertz. Dahlkemper. Press clearance. France on the ball, but down 1-0. Pass intercepted by Press. US on the break. Rapinoe instead pumps the brakes. Backwards for Dunn.
You see the French sitting in a low block. Only one high with Gatoto, which means that US is going to take a super aggressive shape offensively with their outside backs in particular.
Press over the top. Rapinoe brings it down. Rapinoe! Offside flag up.
Press facing up, taking a quick look, and there you see it. Rapinoe just a hair offside, gets a little anxious, but boy, what a nice touch that is, and a calm, cool finish to go with it. And the French holding on because you do not want to go down 2-0 early in a game against the United States.
Dunn with space. So dangerous from that left back spot. Ertz picks out Mewis. Gatoto. Torrent, the right back. Making this American front three work. U.S. pressure tightening around this French back line. Lavelle nearly picks it off.
And that's
Said France now with an opportunity to switch. They do so. Tarrant.
That's where the U.S. is going to want to aggressively shift. You saw Kelly O'Hara on that right side sliding in. I thought they were late to do that against Sweden on the flanks. Much more aggressive in that step, especially with the formation that the French are playing today with only one high. Got to rotate those outside backs and get them into the midfield quickly.
O'Hara now with the Washington spirit of the NWSL. A reminder, ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer is presented by the all-new, all-electric Volkswagen ID4 and Pizza Hut. Order today at pizzahut.com.
Be ready.
Gatoto back to goal, one away by Ertz. Rapinoe wanted press in behind. De Almeida makes the play. Pressure now coming from France. Immediately won back by the U.S. Trouble now. Dali. Gatoto in behind. Gatoto! Saved by Nair. Didn't matter anyway. The offside flag well and up.
First time we've seen France give a little pressure, and this is what they do. They pick it up. Oof. And that is a missed call. Katoto is in. Onside. And with a little high pressure, you get a reward there.
Lavelle knocks it down for O'Hara. Dali forced back by Ertz. Perrault-Magnan, no choice but to slam it high into the night sky. Dunn wins the header.
One of the things that this U.S. team is so good at doing, Sebastian, is when they have a game like they did against Sweden, and really we should be giving a lot more credit to Sweden and how well they played, because the U.S. I don't think played that poorly. It wasn't the cleanest they've ever had, but one of the things the U.S. always does is they're going to assess and reassess and look back and say, okay, how do we as a country get better? And guaranteed in this first 15 minutes they will look at this as a much improved performance versus Saturday against Sweden. And those first 15 where Sweden came at them and they could not handle the pressure they were bringing.
Well done, well done. That's good.
Very set. Le Sommer back and forth. Sloppy pass here leads to a turnover. Can the Americans take advantage? Bent ball in. Not on target for Rapinoe. Back at the feet of Alex Morgan. O'Hara and Perisset. Battle of outside backs. O'Hara caught upfield. Chance for France to counter. Not with Abby Dahlkemper in the mix. O'Hara. Perrault-Magnan, well done.
Don't rush it, don't rush it.
U.S. winning it right back through Ertz. Lavelle.
Don't rush it.
To Mewis, teammates here with the U.S. and with Manchester City.
Yep. And again, if you do. Stay.
I am loving that this boom mic is literally right next to Vlatko Andonovski. Oh, co-commentator. It's fantastic. I'm just going to stop talking and we can listen to this.
Go, 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 go. Take the ball with you.
Even a sense of humor from the coach. Mewis forced back.
Take the ball with you. Don't forget that.
Press for Morgan. Alex Morgan in. Goal! Alex Morgan makes it 2-0 to the United States.
And a really good first 18 minutes for Alex Morgan, trying to get her legs back under her. Oof, might have been close on this one. She gets the call, a beautiful finish and compose. She's tiptoeing that line. Rose Lavelle finding that ball in. But a good first 18 minutes on both sides of the ball.
Morgan's 109th international goal. Les Sommer, what a turn. Beats O'Hara and then hauled down. Quality of the French captain on display.
Good pressing, well done, Kristen.
Les Sommer, one of the few players from Lyon called into this group. Good news out of Lyon this morning. They announced on their Twitter feed the latest round of PCR tests. All came back negative.
My bad, Sebastian.
Julie, you're right. We're getting very detailed
conversation.
conversations.
Sam, be patient. Sam, be patient, higher.
Sauerbrunn. Rapinoe.
One of the
Wanted
things
press
in
too much
talking
on
with
it.
Vlatko Andonovski that he wanted to get better at in this game was just the presence of those front three and how they were making runs, how they were getting engaged, how they were finding those channels, getting in behind.
Sauerbrunn with a key intervention as O'Hara beat again. Les Sommer finding the ball in the middle of the field. Torrent. Quiet so far from Vivian Hassei. Here she is, the number 18, one-on-one with Crystal Dunn. France wins the corner kick. Hassei, one of the scores for this French team in their victory a few days ago over England. Quick corner. Headed down near the save.
And you can hear them saying, we need a body on that, you guys. We need a body on that. Similar to what they saw in the Hurtig goal for Sweden. And this is something Katoto is known for doing. She can target up in that box and get to most balls, but still the United States aware. That was an issue on Saturday.
Morgan winning at the near post.
Look around you.
Counter broken up by Almeida. Dunn in an advanced position. Julie Ertz everywhere. Torrent now. Time down the right flank.
Good.
Gayoro
Samu
loses
is
out.
covering for Crystal Dunn. As you mentioned, Crystal Dunn had been high. Sam covering into that left back position.
Kristen, great defending.
Ertz, time to turn.
such a difference in terms of defensive pressure. Sweden just content to stay in that lower block. Contrast that to Sweden, who had numbers all over the place. As soon as the ball was played into midfield, Sweden had 2-3 players around the ball.
Lavelle checking all the way back to get on this.
Here we go. Stay down. Stay recover.
U.S. coming close on this press.
Now we go.
Stan, France able to break the lines. Torrent. Gayoro. Torrent again. O'Hara out for a corner, and France starting to turn up the pressure here in the 25th minute.
These are always tough when you're facing your own goal. How many times have we seen that go actually into the back of your goal? It wasn't coming with enough pace to cause too much danger, but safely cleared away by Kelly O'Hara. And this is something that the U.S. is going to want to tighten up. Sweden scored on a near post header off a corner kick.
U.S. up 2-0 on France. A reminder, MLS on ESPN begins Sunday at 3 Eastern on ABC. It's the 26th season of Major League Soccer. Inter Miami hosting the LA Galaxy from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The match also will be streaming live on the ESPN app. Don't miss it. Mewis. Dahlkemper now. Dahlkemper, the latest American to join Manchester City. Rapinoe giving chase. Gayoro in trouble. Pressure getting higher and higher from the U.S. Done the left back all the way up there 10 yards.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as the U.S. losing the ball, putting pressure on the ball.
Break here for the French. 3-on-3 if they hurry. Assei and O'Hara. Oh, well defended from Sauerbrunn. What a touch.
Great step by Becky Sauerbrunn, just reading that, breaking up the play by anticipating.
Les Sommer, chance to serve. Sauerbrunn again. Les Sommer and Dunn. Les Sommer. Dunn gets a foot in there.
Little momentum switch for the French, getting a little bit more energy, more success, getting wide, finding these little seams. Becky Sauerbrunn there to break up both of those looks.
Morgan with Almeida all over. Somehow comes away with the ball. 28th minute, U.S. up 2-0. Goal scores Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan, both today celebrating their 175th international appearance. Sam Mewis. Press now into the middle. Ertz on the left foot. Didn't miss by much. Sent Perrault-Magnan diving.
Ertz always in that deeper lying position where she can step into these. Oof, gosh, she didn't miss by much. That one was trying to drop in the end. Almost gets it there. Press, again playing the provider on that right side.
American pressure continuing to cause trouble for France. Dunn turns and attacks. Morgan in behind. Morgan one-on-one. Pero Magnan out.
But again, to your point, Sebastian, it's the press. They pick it up. The high pressure, oof, quite a bit offsides as you see there. But having a lot of success and able to squeeze them. Both of them grappling a little bit. France gets the call.
Between Assei, Katoto, and Les Sommer. Tall task for the outside backs for the U.S. today. Katoto lays it off. Dali. Desperate defending here from the United States. Julie Ertz nods away there. You're right, Julie. Momentum definitely swinging towards the French on the half-hour mark. Assei behind Katoto. O'Hara picks out Morgan. Ertz allowed to advance across midfield. Morgan wanting the return pass for Lavelle. Well defended, Perisset.
I knew Vlatko talked a lot. I did not know he commentated the game like this, though.
Morgan chasing into the corner. She's going to get there first. Defended by Dalmeida. A rare missed touch here in the first half from Alex Morgan.
Yeah, but how active she's been getting into those channels, getting in behind. She gets that little seam slip ball from press for the goal. Very good first 30 for Alex Morgan.
Julie, interesting, right? The two players we talked about coming into this year, the most question marks around them simply because they hadn't played. Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan, there are two goal scorers today, and they've been some of the best players this year for the U.S.
Yeah, Megan Rapinoe, 6 goals, now 7 with the penalty kick today, leads the U.S. team in 2021.
Give us time,
and Megan Rapinoe literally took most of 2020 to rest and recover. I mean, it is one of the silver linings, as we've talked about with COVID and that time off. It's such a hard turn to go from a Women's World Cup, and especially winning a Women's World Cup, to an Olympics the very next summer. It's why no one has done the back-to-back gold and then gold. I think that's why. So having that year to rest and recover. Alex Morgan, of course, had her baby Charlie in May. Then she had a knee injury, then she had COVID, so she's had some other challenges. But to see them both getting their legs back is a great sign for the summer.
Dunn leading the attack for the U.S. Rapinoe, Morgan. Offside flag up. Serie A resumes Saturday at 11:55 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. Sassuolo hosting Fiorentina.
Just off. Really pressing that line, though, as we've seen with Alex.
O'Hara turning on the Jets. Beats Asai.
Yes, Alex. Yes, Alex. Yes, Alex. One bounce. Closer, Sam.
France giving the Americans some of their own medicine.
You're seeing the wide front players for the United States. So Megan Rapinoe on the left, Kristen Press on the right, tucking in defensively. And they're trying to shut out that middle channel. If they do that, they're trying to press that French player, the center back, to play it wide. The problem is sometimes you're not having that corresponding pressure coming from the U.S. back line, which would be an outside back swinging in.
Kelly. Countermeasures, Kelly. Countermeasures. Let's go.
Done.
And that's where the French are having a little bit of success.
Dunn wins it off Tarrant. Dunn into the box. Dunn on the left foot. Save by Romagnan.
Yes, Rose. Kristen, let's go.
What a good save by Pedro Magnon. Saw her play on Friday against England. She had an equally impressive game against the English side.
Morgan. Cross just behind Sam Mewis. Offside flag up anyway.
This is the press. Sorry, the Crystal Dunn pressure. Springs her free, and she thinks, why not? Maybe I can sneak one in. Takes a look. Good save by Pedro Magnon. Comes across to swipe it with her right hand. Parry it away.
Dunn. Dunn and Rapinoe on that left side, giving Tarrant all sorts of trouble.
And we'll see. It's interesting the approach that French team has taken. And I get it's a younger team. You're missing a lot of your veteran stars. But to sit this far back in a lower block with a lot of time and space for the United States, it just plays into the U.S. hands, I think, versus what we saw against the Swedish team.
Rapinoe.
Yes, now you go. On the bounce. Well done. Well done. All right, organize now.
Come here, down a bit. Kristen, hold it down. Hey, look, Kristen, lower. Up. Yeah. Kristen, behind you, shoulder. Inside.
There you go. Alex.
Harris set.
Stay in front of her. Yes. Play.
Yes, Kristen, time. Rose, you need touch. Again, back.
Sauerbrunn and Dunn, both on the Portland Thorns. Close to the NWSL season. Challenge Cup kicking off last weekend. Portland and Kansas City involved in quite a feisty affair. A league record 4 red cards in that one. O'Hara right around Les Sommer. To the near post, touched. Pedro Magnon, a juggling act, but she manages to hold on.
Oh, Megan Rapinoe there again. O'Hara with that nice, tempting, teasing ball in. So good. Pino just getting in front of that defender. Can't get enough on it because she's off balance trying to get around her. But Pedro Magnon again there. Because I tell you what, going into halftime, Sebastian, 3-0 is not fun against this U.S. team.
Gatoto forced to turn. Dali. Torrent trying to get past Crystal Dunn. Nothing now.
Good.
U.S. taking over possession, 39th minute. Goals to Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan. U.S. up 2-0 on France. U.S., of course, top-ranked team in the world according to FIFA. France ranked 3rd in the latest FIFA rankings.
Really is such a shame that this French team, with how good they are, I mean, we've talked about it off the top, missing 6 of their Lyon stars today, but how good they are and what a threat that they're not in the Olympics, nor is the defending Olympic gold medalists in Germany. They also were knocked out of the quarterfinals. Of course, they used the World Cup of 2019 as the Olympic qualifier for UEFA teams.
Sauerbrunn under pressure, flicks it out of bounds. Throw-in coming for France. 5 minutes from halftime. Corinne Diacre in charge of this French team. Mentioned she found herself in some controversy for calling up Lyon players during a COVID outbreak. There was a very public Julie back and forth between her and Amandine Henry, who went on an interview on French television called the World Cup total chaos. Diacre then dropped Henry from the team, brought her back. So for all the talent that this French team has, it's, at least right now, doesn't seem like the most stable environment.
A lot of drama. I actually asked Diacre about that on email as well. Couldn't get her on the phone because she wasn't comfortable speaking English. And I said, how do you keep the team chemistry? How do you keep the team morale given some of the very public exchanges that have happened between you and the players? And she wrote back, I am the captain of the boat. Some players have opinions about some things, but at the end, the choices are mine. The players can make the team project evolve in a positive way if they want to, but it has always to remain positive. I thought that was very interesting. I am the captain of the boat.
Press drills it into the middle. Julie, it feeds into the narrative throughout France's long history. We talked about it in the Open. It's a team that's been loaded with talent, but never really been able to fulfill that potential in any meaningful international stage.
No, and that's always been the big hurdle, right? You think, oh, this is going to be the year the French do it, and they've gone out early in the quarterfinals of the last 2 big tournaments they've played, 2017 Euros, 2019 Euros, with a world full of talent. Katoto, ironically, who's leading the league with 20 goals, as we mentioned, didn't get brought into that 2019 team. I also did ask Diacre about that. What is it going to take for the French to win a title? And she said, I'd say we'd have to lose a title to get the experience of winning a title, with a smiley face. I'm thinking that means it hurts so much that you want it so much more. I don't know, but it surely does hurt. I'm certain, because it seems like the U.S. is always on the end of it as well.
France looking for a goal before the half, slice into this American lead. Les Sommer and Sauerbrunn. Chipped in header.
And where there is Katoto, even with 2 players around her, she can still cause so many problems. They front her, they're putting a player on the back of her, and Katoto still almost knocks that one in. And what a big, big goal this would be for the French team if they can get one before the half. Talk about a change in mentality and mindset going into the halftime.
Ertz heads away. Dahlkemper scuffs it out of bounds. 45th minute, still a chance here for France.
I still don't love that full zone of the 6, and they just have a couple players man marking around the penalty spot for the United States on defensive corners. Becky saved that from being another corner kick. You saw Hurtig, the Swedish player and striker, target forward, pop between that zone seam on those defensive corners and actually get the goal on Saturday.
Ertz. The U.S. holds a 2-0 lead over France at halftime from Le Havre. Goals from Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan. We'll be back with more at halftime U.S. Soccer on ESPN, presented by Volkswagen.
With Metro by T-Mobile, Mrs. R rules. She's going above and beyond, finding new ways to illuminate her students so everyone can shoot for the stars. You work hard for your...
ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer is brought to you by Volkswagen. U.S. leading France 2-0 through 45 minutes. Julie Foudy and Sebastian Salazar with you here on ESPN2. The French looks like they're preparing a substitution. Valerie Galvan down there in the technical area. As you see here, the number 13 joining the French 11, getting ready for the second half against the U.S. Julia, pretty strong first half from the Americans. Any adjustments?
I think they're going to be pleased. I think one of the things they're going to have to look at, though, if they stay in that low block, the French team is shifting and making sure those outside backs are stepping as well. So when they're defending, getting forward into the midfield to help out the 3 midfielders. Baltimore, Sandy Baltimore coming in. We saw she had such a good game. Scored a great goal, the opening goal against England on Friday. Surprised to see her not starting, but this is a redevelopment, rebuilding phase for France since they're not in the Olympics. Baltimore on that left side. That will be a great matchup between Kelly O'Hara on the right for the United States. Baltimore on the left. She loves to get forward.
Good, Sammy. Good, Chris, watch on your right.
Galvan, one of the players that started for France against the U.S. in that World Cup quarterfinal. Crazy, almost 2 years ago now. Galvan pursuing Sauerbrunn. Nair clearing to Rapinoe, manages to keep it in bounds.
Well done, well done.
Good battle on the near sideline. Rapinoe had it.
You heard that squeal on the sidelines. It's looking like Katoto out for the French team. Le Sommer playing that target forward. Here's the tackle on Tauran. Hard to tell. It looks like Le Sommer leading the line for the French, staying in that 4-5-1. Baltimore on the left, coming in. Govan coming in on the right.
U.S. taking back over possession, 48th minute. Sauerbrunn will work it to Dahlkemper. Dahlkemper direct.
I lied, Sebastian. Le Sommer on the right, Govan leading the line in the middle, playing that target 9.
Diacre making a couple adjustments at the half. Rapinoe. Perrault Magnan, simple save.
Just a little shimmy to get a window. Finds a little gap.
Baltimore just turned 21 years old, another one of the young talents in this French pipeline. There she is, the number 17. As you mentioned, Julie coming off a great performance against England, really shredding the 3 Lionesses.
And only in her 5th cap. I mean, that's the amazing thing.
Gagnez un peu, Inès. Sortez un peu. Gagnez un peu, Inès. Des bases.
U.S. with a 2-0 lead, content to work the ball around their back line. Julie not sure what the possession numbers will be in this match, but if you remember that quarterfinal in 2019, France had nearly 60% possession. Seeing this U.S. team outpossess something we rarely witness.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how France deals with, one, you're 2-0 down, and in this second half, you're going to have to come out of that low block at times. Of course, you want to keep the game compact. You know that there's so much strength on that U.S. side in terms of how they can break you down, so you're trying to keep it compact, but you also have to take some risks and get some players forward and put the U.S. under pressure.
O'Hara intercepts, leading the American break. Le Sommer trying to do the same for France. Her pass, well off the mark. Sandy Baltimore. Baltimore double team.
I love these mics. It's phenomenal. I mean, we've gotten a lot of games like this, but never this close, it feels like. I feel like I'm sitting on the field calling this game.
Pas plus bas, Inès, pas plus bas. plus bas, Inès.
Sam, a little bit higher in the pocket.
Hey, Sandy! Sandy!
Megan Rapinoe. Sommer turning down the line. Nothing doing as Becky Sauerbrunn cuts it out. Julie, they've been playing in empty stadiums for some time. It's the detail of the communication that we're hearing that stands out to me with this U.S. team.
Yeah. And across all lines, too.
Dali forced out of bounds by Julie Ertz. France will retain possession. 53rd minute.
I got one back post. I'd be good. Becky,
Torrent all the way up from her right back spot. Into Gauvin.
Go, Rose. Go, go. Come across your alley. Go, Gavin. Good, good. Steal it. Steal it.
Baltimore on her left foot. One-on-one with O'Hara. Takes a deflection gathered by Alyssa Nair.
And that's what Baltimore can bring to a game. Wants to get that ball in that wide flank area. Wants to serve it in.
Baltimore, one of 3 halftime substitutions for France. Nair awkwardly palms that away.
Baltimore again on that left side. Looks like she lost it almost. Maybe just lost her footing where she was.
Right there. Good, Sam. Good, Sam.
Torrent not going to get around Mewis, and Mewis called for the foul. Opportunity here for France. Dangerous spot for a set piece. No, it'll be a throw-in for the French. Ertz winning out in a physical battle. Done with the turnover. Rapinoe wins it right back. Beautiful 1-2 between Rapinoe and Lavelle. Rapinoe on her left foot.
Such a nice look by Rose Lavelle, who's a player that always just continues to impress. Perfectly weighted, finding Rapinoe in that seam, on that channel, and just too much on that touch, trying to get her into the box. So much upside for Rose Lavelle.
Rapinoe to the near post. That's where Sam Mewis is. U.S. won't let France out of their own end. Ertz with the pressure. Ella Pali losing out. She was the 3rd halftime sub for France, replacing Gayoro. Done, well taken.
I mean, you contrast
Lavelle.
the pressure of the U.S. with the French, and it's uncomfortable. You have to make, and which is what Sweden did such a good job of with the United States, which they're not used to, is they made them uncomfortable with their press. You got to be organized. You got to be able to shift and rotate and double and press back, and you've got to have every player on the field doing it, but you just don't see that same pressure from the French, and it's a very comfortable game for the United States.
Gauvin, Le Sommer. Lavelle, the takeaway. Tried to find Mewis, misfired on the pass. Torriant. Le Sommer. American pressure beaten. Llorena.
It's such a good reminder, too, for kids watching. Sebastian, to your point of how specific the communication is, like get on that right shoulder or you have someone on your left hip. And we talk about this all the time when you're coaching kids, right? Instead of just step, where do you want them to step? Step right, step left. I mean, be very specific. It's so fun to hear. I do think, though, someone must have told Vlatko at halftime that the mic is in his pocket because he seems to be talking a lot less in the second half. It's been alerted.
58th minute, ESPN's coverage of U.S. soccer, presented by the all-new, all-electric Volkswagen ID4. U.S. up 2-0. Rapinoe Morgan, the goal scorers.
I think the next challenge for the United States. I think the next challenge for the United States is in a game that they're fairly comfortable, up 2-0. It's still a very good French team, even though it's a young team, is can you get that third goal and put this game away? I mean, these are the moments where you go, okay, because if this French team gets a goal, that momentum shift is going to be immediate. They are back in it. So can you get the separation of getting that third goal? And those are the little things you start working on, even against some of the best in the world.
U.S. making France chase on the hour mark. Nice spell of possession. Press leading the attack. Rapinoe in behind. Instead, the option is done. Rapinoe switching for O'Hara. Lavelle now. Lavelle on her left. Rose the shot. Well off target.
Little scene for Rose that she loves to get in, puts it on her favored left foot, takes a glance. We've seen her make plenty of those in her day. That one clearly off. But I would say take that all day if you're Rose Lavelle. Getting to that 60th minute mark, Sebastian, and possibly going to see some substitutions in the next 5 minutes for the U.S. team. Of course, Vlatko still having to make some very tough decisions. Torren again with that ankle. But Vlatko Andonovski still having to make some very tough decisions to get down to that roster of 18. I'm told that roster won't be named until actually mid-June, so they'll use those June friendlies as an evaluation.
Yeah, really, Julie, time running out if you want to make a move either into that 11 or into that 18. Probably 5 games left on the international scene, plus whatever you can muster at the club level. And when we spoke with Vlatko Andonovski the other day, he told us they're literally watching everything. Preseason scrimmage on a YouTube stream, they're watching it because it's data that right now this coaching staff hasn't had much of.
No. And they know they got to see everything, right? So they're, and you look at someone like a Catarina Macario, had to leave early at the She Believes Cup, so really only got that Canada game in. Then misses these two games, huge games against two of the best teams in the world because of what happened in Lyon, and she would have gotten in too late even if she had been cleared. And so really those Lyon games are all they have to go on, and not to say that's going to count her out, but it definitely makes it more difficult for a player like her.
Couple changes for France. Grace Kazadi into the match, as is Léa Khalifi.
Changement pour les États-Unis d'Amérique avec la sortie de la numéro 15, Megan Rapinoe.
There's the Rapinoe penalty kick from earlier in the first half. First goal for the United States.
Can you hurry up a little bit? It's really cold.
62 minutes in, that looks like that will be the end of her day. And this is going to be interesting. Horan coming in. You still have Mewis, Ertz, and Lavelle in. This is the first time all four have been on the field at the same time, I'm told by Vlatko Andonovski. And what you're going to see is Rose Lavelle shifting forward is my guess.
Press brings it down. Kazadi right into the match.
And that is
fends off Press. Press.
And that
Key
is what
block
you're
from
seeing, Sebastian.
Jorena.
You've got Kristen Press. Kristen Press has moved to that left side. Rose Lavelle now on the right up high. She has played up high for Man City at times. Talked to her on the phone before training yesterday. She phrased it, which I think is very mature of her, as a growing experience and a learning experience, having to play all those different positions.
Good, we're good. Keep going down. Limbs on the outside.
Les Sommer with some space to do damage. She squares up against Dunn. Les Sommer running out of options, gonna do it herself.
Go ahead, Cal. Go ahead, Cal. Get out.
Now Baltimore on that left foot.
Good, Crystal.
Dunn brings it down and keeps it in.
Good, Crystal.
Extreme calm from the American left back.
Good little spell from the French. A lot of it started on that left side with Baltimore. Solid little spark from Les Sommer, which we haven't seen much this game as well.
Let's go. Okay, let me hurry.
Stay, Alex, stay. Give us the take. Hold on. Yup.
Another reminder, the MLS season begins on Friday night. MLS on ESPN begins Sunday at 3 Eastern. It's actually on ABC. It's the 26th season Major League Soccer kicks off. Inter Miami hosting the LA Galaxy from sunny Florida. The match will also be streaming live on the ESPN app. Baltimore turns and delivers. Galvan, but Sauerbrunn there first. 66-minute U.S. still holding on to this clean sheet.
Having a little bit of success on their left side, the French team. It'll be interesting if Kelly O'Hara is going to go 90 or if Vlatko Andonovski makes a change here. Got caught a little higher there, and they were able to get in behind her.
Oh! Oh, no.
Big win from Ertz.
Encore.
Ah, il faut pas la perdre.
U.S. giving it right back to France. Sauerbrunn, half clearance.
Come on.
Nice build up from the French. Les Sommer opening it wide for Baltimore. Baltimore 1-on-2. Her shot blocked by Kelly O'Hara.
Good defense by Kelly O'Hara, but you can see little momentum, little more confidence and swagger from this French side. They're starting to finally, 66 minutes in, come into this game a little bit more.
Mewis losing out. Yoren on it for France. Lavelle with a clever back check, steals it.
You know, it's an interesting topic, Sebastian, with Rose Lavelle staying on the field as Horan comes in, because we have discussed for many years, like, gosh, this conundrum of 4 excellent players for 3 positions. I was actually thinking in the Sweden game, is there a way you could get all 4 of them on the field? And Vlatko answered that in our pregame call and said, yeah, we're going to actually put Rose probably higher. They talked about even a false 9 for one of them. I think Horan could fit into that role, having played in a 9 before, a false 9, but they said we haven't had enough time to work on that. And so the easiest swap was to put Lavelle high and wide. But it is an interesting switch that we haven't seen, the 4 of them on the field for the first time. I'm talking the 3 in midfield, Ertz, Mewis, Lavelle, and Horan as the 4th.
Julie, it's an obvious bid by Vlatko Andonovski to get as many of his best players on the field as possible. Obviously, the U.S. is winning here 2-0, but is this something we would expect to see when the U.S. were down, maybe chasing a goal late?
You know, I do think you could see it, because you obviously don't lose anything defensively, right? It's just they haven't played with Rose high in this situation before. It hasn't been that Rose Lavelle hasn't played high before. And as I said, we've seen her do it at Man City, but it's just the familiarity. And why not try it now? Because if it works, it's something you can use going forward for sure. And you've got 4 high-quality players that you're able to keep on the field.
20 precious minutes left here. The U.S. well in control, but Julie, we know that those 18 roster spots up for grabs. Done over the top for Horan. Horan into the box for Lavelle. Can Lavelle find a cross? Chips it to the back post. Headed away, Kelly O'Hara. Another cross. Perrault Magnan gathers.
And that's Rose Lavelle, who started on that right side, coming all the way across, combining with Horan, finding a little gap. So good in her ability to, in tight spaces, find something.
It's just like too hard for me to cover.
816 days since the U.S. last lost. It was in this stadium against this team 3-1 in January of 2019. It's a 38-match unbeaten streak.
That game, too. The U.S. was down 3-0 in that game. Pew didn't score until the end of that game, so oof, that was a smoking in 2019. That wasn't just a loss. Talk about a wake-up call. Megan Rapinoe referred to it as not quite a punch in the face, that Sweden game on Saturday, but, you know, a good enough jar. She said, I didn't lose any teeth. But that 2019 game was quite a wake-up call to go 3-0 down to that French team.
And Julie France is capable of doing that. We've seen it before. I remember the 2017 She Believes Cup game at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. The U.S. really had no answers for France on a day where French won 3-0. At their best.
And yeah, and And it's too bad, and I'm sure even this U.S. team was hoping they would get the toughest opposition in terms of all players available with the French squad. It's too bad that their Lyon players are missing because this would be a very different looking game. But still at 2-0, with the players they have on the field for France, this game turns on its head with a little bit of individual brilliance that you know France has in spades.
Morgan wide for press. Kazadi, beaten press for a second, now hauls her down. Was that by the hair? No doubt about that, yellow for Kazadi.
All of this coming from the defensive work. Once you lose that ball, I think she gets her by the jersey here. Oh, maybe you're right, Sebastian. Nasty. God, that's dangerous as well.
73rd minute, chance for the Americans to add a third.
Il y en a une toute seule, faites gaffe. Il y en a une seule, la 16.
Ertz, one of the obvious targets. She's matched up with Govan. Press will serve. 5 targets in the box. Govan wins it for France. Horan safely seeing the ball out of bounds. Corner kick for the U.S. Just about a quarter hour to go. Rematch of the World Cup quarterfinal in 2019. Rematch of a group phase game at the 2016 Olympics. Both those won by the U.S. Lindsey Horan. Press! Volley well blocked by Dalmeida.
Good little short corner to try and get something out of that.
Corner kick to the near post, just over the crossbar from Ertz.
Just needed to get a little redirection on this, and Ertz gets under it, just too much on that one. Good ball in though by Press.
We have 2.
Sophia Smith then set to enter the match for Press.
Come on, Carl. Get a goal.
Well done, Pressy.
Alex Morgan to leave the match as well.
Let's get one.
Morgan getting her 109th international goal. In her 175th international appearance. This international appearance 301 for Carly Lloyd. She hit 300 over the weekend against Sweden.
Close it, well done. Here we go, jump!
You talked earlier too, Sebastian, about that roster breakdown of 18. Sophia Smith, one of those players that's fighting to get into that 18 right now. This will be a big 15 minutes for her.
Baltimore triple teamed as Lavelle comes away with it. UEFA Euro 2020 coming to ESPN this summer. All 51 matches live on the ESPN Family and Networks, June 11th through July 11th. All starts on June 10th at the UEFA Euro 2020 preview show. Dunn looking long for Horan. She's found her. Horan working against Tunkara. Sophia Smith found an opening, her shot off target.
Horan's been busy on that left side, getting forward a ton. French team not wanting to track that run out of midfield. It's what makes Lindsay so dangerous, as she wants to make it all day, every day.
Another mistake from the French at the back. U.S. almost taking advantage. U.S. for Lloyd. Perisset. Good double team from the American defense. Dahlkemper and O'Hara. Smith, wide on the left. U.S. keeping possession, 12 minutes left between the Americans and France. Number 1 and number 3 in the latest FIFA rankings. And a rematch of one of the greatest games in the history of women's football.
Oh, that game. Every time I think about that game, that quarterfinal, the best part of that, Sebastian, is Joy Fawcett and I, former teammate with the national team, of course, were on the field right before kick with FIFA doing the announcements. And we were saying hello to the crowd with Sonia Bonpastor, the French player. She was there for the French team. And Sonia was saying all this stuff in French and getting the crowd all riled up. This is before the quarterfinal of US-France in Paris. And the place is going crazy with the French are so loud. And then Joy Fawcett, who's typically so quiet, she gets the mic and she's like, I know the Americans are gonna dominate this stadium tonight. And she's thinking like they're gonna roar up, and the entire crowd goes, boo! And I lost it. I was like, well done, Joy. Way to get the crowd going, bro. Way to get the crowd going. Boo! Oh, and then that Megan Rapinoe goal just quieted everything down. So good.
We showed the highlight in the beginning of the show. It was right around now in the match that Wendy Renard scored a bullet header to make it 2-1. This led to a very nervous last few minutes in Paris. See if we get a similar ending here. France looking far more likely to score in the second half than the first. Khalifi, through ball for Baltimore. She's in behind. Baltimore across, off of Dunn. Well defended there by Crystal Dunn. Very easily could have turned that into her own goal.
Again, that left side with Baltimore coming in that second half, causing some problems.
U.S. pinging it around the back. O'Hara into the middle. Brought down by Mewis with pressure. Sauerbrunn now, given time to advance. Well picked out. She's found Carly Lloyd, the target forward. Releasing Smith. Smith on her right. The shot deflected out of bounds. Corner kick United States in the 81st minute.
And if there's one thing you know about Sophia Smith, having watched her on the U.S. women's national teams, youth national teams, excuse me, and then at Stanford, is she wants to run at players and get into the box. And it's an element of her game that is so dangerous when she's running at players.
Dahlkemper to the penalty area. Mewis had a look at it. Khalifi trying to pull away from Smith. Lavelle. Tunkara. Tunkara still in trouble. No choice but to put it out of play.
Good defensive pressure. First it was Rose Lavelle and Sophia Smith doubling back, and then Ertz locking it in, and they're attacking third, not letting France get out.
Lloyd's touch. Long, and she'll be whistled for the foul here. In fact, Lloyd going into the book. Crashing into Perisset.
You know, you're looking at 82 in, 83 in, and Vlatko Andonovski, I think, will be very pleased, of course, with the win. But you also look at the difference this French team would be if you had Katoto in for the whole game. You had Diani in, you had Reynard, Majri, Cascarino, Henri. These are all the players from Lyon they're missing as well. I mean, this is a very different team than we typically see. Still a very good team, but it's not the French team we're typically used to seeing.
Julie, a reminder for folks to check out the Laughter Permitted podcast with you and your co-host Lynn Olzawi, interviewing trailblazing women about the joy and chaos of life. You can download and subscribe to Laughter Permitted wherever you get your podcasts. Beautiful turn from Mewis, squaring up against the French defense. Through ball. Lavelle into the box. Rose Lavelle, plenty of options. Lloyd, no! Still not cleared. Lavelle at the top of the box and on her left foot. Puts it in for Lloyd. Was all alone and well offside.
Good little spell for Rose Lavelle on that right side, I'd say, huh? She's been very active, getting in, finding a little seam. Unlucky for the United States not to finish this one off, which would essentially finish this game off. But I do want to say I like her on that right side, Sebi.
Different look for sure. Beautiful through ball from Sam Mewis leading to that attack. U.S. still looking for a third. Lindsay Horan.
I know the U.S. team looks at a lot of data and a lot of stats. The stat I want to see, how many plays are broken up by Julie Ertz on her own? Because I'm going to say it's well north of 80%.
That space is open.
Some players seem to be everywhere at all times. Julie Ertz certainly fits that category. Here she is on the left wing. Natural.
You know what's lacking in these last minutes for France too, Sebastian, is there's just not a lot of urgency with them, right? Leysser playing it back. I mean, you would think 2-0, let's take some chances, a little risk reward here, send some players. Still pretty quiet for them.
Mewis the header. Straight at Pyro Magnan. Mewis for Smith. Play on, says the referee.
Great presence by Sam Mewis. 13 goals for Man City, 5 of them coming from Champions League. What a mark she's left. Just won our top player in the world for ESPN FC's first annual ranking of the 50 top players in the world for women. Pleased we did that finally. Sebastian, you were an expert.
Yeah, Sam Mewis was #1. I think France had 5 of the top 21 players on that list. Who'd you have as your #1, Julie?
What's that? Who did I have?
Yeah, as your #1.
I had Sam Kerr. The other Sam is my #1, full disclosure. Good win for the United States as we wrap up this game in these final minutes. And I think, again, as I said, Vlatko will be pleased with this, but they also knows that this isn't a French team that tested them to their fullest. That Sweden team did a much better job of doing that. Really 3 more national team games that Vlatko has the opportunity to evaluate in June.
Hazadi driving forward, sends it wide for Le Sommer, her cross. Sauerbrunn first header, brought down by Gauvin. And the offside flag up. Julie, we mentioned at the very top of the show the ongoing gender discrimination lawsuit between the U.S. women and against the U.S. Soccer Federation. Yesterday there was a settlement approved concerning the working conditions part of that lawsuit. Now we expect an appeal on the equal pay portion of that lawsuit. Folks will remember Judge dismissed those claims in May of last year. And then, Julie, in the last 24 hours, there's been a back and forth of statements between the U.S. women and their spokesperson and U.S. Soccer. We don't have to get too far into it now. We only have a few minutes left in this game, but the statements would really tell the story of two sides that still, after all this time, are very far apart.
Very far apart. I mean, Molly Levinson, the spokesperson for the players, saying they didn't offer us equal pay, and that is not true. Cindy Parlow, the president of U.S. Soccer, say we did offer them what when we control the matches. So U.S. Soccer controlled friendlies, we offered them equal pay, similar to exactly what the men get. So, you know, and what it comes down to is there's not a lot of communication happening across those two sides, sadly, yet.
Lavelle looking for the spectacular. Lloyd will chase it down in the corner.
The second half actually made me feel like the U.S. was down 2-0 the way they were playing versus the French. Just no urgency for the French side. And this is going to be something that people continue to assess with Diacre and some of those public statements. But the French team getting a win against England on Friday, I think, was huge for her and possibly for her future, the coach with this French side. But that's going to be something that people are watching for sure.
Lloyd trying the back heel for Smith. Paraset there to cut it out. U.S. starting a new winning streak, potentially. Pushing their unbeaten streak to 39. Class touch from Baltimore. You can add another one to your tally there, Julie.
Take off.
92nd minute, not a lot of fight left in this French side. Group seemingly resigned to another defeat at the hands of the Americans. Duns found Lloyd. Now made out of touch. Can the U.S. find one more? Press. Sophia Smith. Ran for Lloyd. Lays it off for Mewis. Ertz. Through ball. Dunn to the end line. Khalifi nods it to Mewis. Still Sam. The U.S. 2-0 winners over France. Julie, if we're looking for progress, certainly an improved performance from what we saw Saturday in Stockholm in the 1-1 draw against Sweden.
Yeah, and you look at the overall value of this trip, huge for the U.S. team. Two good teams, not the best we've seen of France, but a great Sweden team. And it tested the U.S. That's exactly what they wanted out of this trip, and they're getting more and more answers as they march forward to July and the Olympics.
A rematch of the quarterfinals at the 2019 World Cup. Different results, same outcome. The U.S. beating France 2-0 this time. Your goal scorers, Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, will be back to close things out in just a moment. Volkswagen, presenting sponsor of U.S. Soccer.